Oh my God, this one never is fun. My glutes. Oh, if you've ever done this feels great, by the way. I feel it in my stomach though. If you've ever done this on your lats, you legit cry. So I'm not gonna act like this is part of my daily warm-up routine because it's not. It used to be at one point, but honestly, this is really all it is for me. It's just kind of like a feel-good thing. You know, you smash a certain area that's pretty sore and then you feel good after. But like I said, it used to be part of my warm-up routine back in my CrossFit days. I used to do this for like 20 to 25 minutes to warm up my lower body. Then I would do some mobility work for my shoulders. Then I'd warm up with whatever exercise I was gonna do. And then I'd go into my lift. And then an hour later, I'd finally begin. We don't have time for that. So now I just go straight into the gym. I go right into the first exercise of my workout plan. I start light. My main focus is to get blood into the muscle. I aim for the higher rep range and I move slow, and I do anywhere between 2 to 3 warm-up sets, depending on how heavy I'm trying to go before going into my first working set. And that usually should do it. And it's been great ever since then. But today, I'm actually not going to mic myself for this portion of the workout. We're gonna run through it pretty quickly because my goal for this week is to take you guys through my full workout routine. So once we get back in the afternoon, we'll lock in, I'll mic myself up, and you guys will be able to go deep inside my workouts, why I do certain things, and hopefully you guys can take something away from it, all right? I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Let's go do it again. Here we go, soccer kick. All right, welcome back, round 2. So today is my chest and back day, my favorite day of the week besides training legs. Now the reason why I train chest and back is because my main focus this off season is to bring up my full chest, not so much my back. So instead of dedicating a full back day, I can save that to dedicate on something like my arms, which is something I also need to bring up. My back is my best body part, so training it second as a secondary, and honestly, it's not that bad. I actually found to really love the chest and back. I still get to push them extremely hard. Granted, I'm not also doing 5 sets per exercise. 2 to 3 working sets is all you really need, especially if you're pushing really hard and close to failure. So let's get to it. All right, so first exercise, we have the infamous dumbbell incline bench press to focus on the upper chest. But the way I do my sets is instead of the traditional straight sets, personally I found that my chest fatigues very, very quickly, and I just start to decline after that first set. So what I do is something called reverse pyramid training, where my first set is actually my heaviest set. So right now I'm still warming up, about 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and then we'll go into our first working set. So what I do is that first set is my heaviest set for about 4 to 6 reps. Then I go lighter in weight, but increase the reps. So second set would be anywhere between 6 to 8 reps. And then I go a little bit lighter, and then reps increase for the third set, anywhere between 8 to 10. I try and push for 12. Sometimes I finish with partials, but mainly that last set, I'm always going to failure. I get nervous every time, but here we go. First and heaviest working set. Last week we got 4.5 reps. I'm really hoping, obviously, to get 5, but I think I'd still be okay with 4, being that I'm pretty sure I left my triceps here this morning. So let's see what we got. try 4.5 just like last week, not upset. Second time hitting hundreds with the same tempo, same pause at the bottom. I'm happy with it. All right, moving on to set number 2. We got 90s. Last week we did 9.5. Obviously the goal is to do 7. Now, like I said, I am not upset at doing 4.5 because I did that weight last week for the first time, but being that we've been training arms, bicep and tricep for 8 days, that was my biggest worry going into this whole challenge while still trying to progress on my lift, was fatiguing both my bicep and my tricep when I should be focusing on growing my chest. But it seems to be that I'm recovering pretty well, and that's always a good thing. So moving on to set number 2, the goal is to try and get 7. Now, of course, you want to try and improve by doing either one more rep or it's one more set, adding more volume, going up in weight. That to me was already a win. Now let's see if maybe on our second set or even on our third set, we can try and get that little extra bump. All right, here we go. I'm feeling good about this one.
I keep it 100 on the dash now that we got us some traction. Slick talker, I'm a showstopper, you are not solid. Tread cautious, couldn't go a mile in my toe boxes. Stunning shade with the Visine. Light it up to bring the vibe in. Lime scent, color spot beam on me.
There you go. There's our win for the day. So this last set mentally always feels the best because it's the lightest, but then you know it's always going to hurt the most because it's the one you're going to do the most reps with.
I never know what the time.
Not today. Last week was 10.5, now 11. My triceps though, gone. Yeah, I'm sweating like a fucking pig right now. All right, so moving on to my second favorite exercise alongside another cable exercise that I'll show you on my second chest and back day. But the reason why I like this one is because genetically, my right pec, at least the inner part of my pec, is a little bit smaller than my left pec. So this exercise allows me to really press around and come across my pecs so I can really get a good contraction and a good squeeze, something you can't really get when doing a dumbbell press or a barbell bench press. So the main focus here is thinking about driving with your chest and not just with your shoulder and your arm. It's very easy to press with your shoulder and your arm, but instead of lifting that chest up, because we're trying to bias and focus on the upper pecs, even though you're always overall training the whole chest, but depending on the angles, you can kind of somewhat bias the lower, the middle, or the upper. But keep in mind, you're always training the whole chest. So here, really driving with the chest, and it'll make a hell of a difference. So here, really try and focus on that upper clavicle so we can get a nice little shelf. All right, moving on to our final set. And the reason why I love combining this exercise with, let's say, dumbbell incline bench is because we're working both ranges of the pec, shorten and stretch position. So when you're doing a dumbbell bench press, it's really heavy here at the bottom, which is why you see a lot of bodybuilders doing these, want to call them half reps. They're not really extending because it's not heavy up here, it's heavy down here. So they focus where it really matters. And when doing something like this cable press, especially because of the way I'm angling myself, it's actually heaviest at the top compared to being heavy at the bottom, being that we already did that. So we're focusing more on the short range of the pecs. And over there, like I said, we're doing more of that stretch position of the pec. Lastly, for chest, I like to do a decline, being that our first two exercises was more focusing on kind of that middle upper pec, and here we can now focus on more the middle lower pec. So what I do is, besides this being a more decline chest press, I put the seat up nice and high so I can sit nice and above and can press down. So I love to do anything converging, because converging meaning bringing together, and it just makes it a lot easier when trying to contract your pecs when you're bringing your arms together. Oh man, I'm not even wearing my headphones. So one thing I think it's pretty important to mention is don't rush your sets. Take the time you need. Obviously, don't take your precious time. But if you have a hard working set, take anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes of rest in between, and then you should be good to go. All right, now we're in for the fun stuff. Moving on to back. So we're doing a single arm cable lat pull down. Now, I used to do this exercise on the cable lat pull down machines, I would just sit at an angle and pull down from vertically above so we can focus on that lower lat when pulling down. So I actually do it here on the Prime machine now, which not all the gyms have. The setup is a little strange, it's different, but I have learned it recently and it's by far one of my favorite lat exercises. Again, to really focus on that deep stretch and that lower lat. You do this and for the next 2-3 days, your lower lats are just sore as hell, okay? So this is how we're gonna do it. Same side, same arm, pull down, but I'm using my arm, my hip to really anchor myself so I have more stability, because you can still do this exercise and you've probably seen someone do it on a knee where they just knee and then pull down. The problem with that is, and that's not that it's wrong, is that you have no stability because gravity is pulling you forward and you're fighting against it. But if you can anchor yourself or stabilize yourself, you'll be able to pull more weight. If you can pull more weight, you're probably gonna make more gains. And by adding this little twist here and starting here, I'm able to get a deeper stretch compared to just aligning myself with the cable. Deeper stretch here, protract as much as I can, pull down into this pocket down here, and your lower lats are gonna thank you forever. I can fly now. All right, so moving on to our second back exercise. So recently it was a low to high machine row, but personally I wasn't loving the setup. I felt like the handles always hit my legs and it was just very weird just setting myself up. So I decided not to do it and stick with it. And then I moved on to one arm rows. I used to do one arm rows all the time. I love them. But then I also realized I use so much core. My obliques are always on fire the next few days. It's a lot of core and stability work, great exercise, but I'm trying to focus on just my back. So a chest supported row is always great. But again, we're trying to really focus on the thickness. So I really want to drive my elbows out, not in, out, and really drive my elbows up towards the ceiling. So we're gonna go with the wider grip here. And I don't like to go too heavy on these, as heavy as you need to, of course, for whatever rep range. But I like to make sure that my elbows can't go past my body, then it's probably too heavy. This one just takes the soul out of you, especially since your chest is being pressed on this pad. This is when straps or wraps really come in handy, because once your forearm goes, which is always gonna happen fairly quickly, especially when you're trying to pull some weight, at that point, you're not really maximizing training your back. I highly suggest if you want a bigger back and really wanna focus on training your back, get some straps or some wraps. So last and final exercise, we have the seated row where we focus more on that upper back
traps, rear delts. Man, this exercise sucks. It literally takes the wind out of you. Super heavy, but the reason why I like it is because it really matches our strength profile, where it's really heavy in the beginning in that stretch position, and then it gets easier as you pull it towards you, so it allows you to get a good squeeze and contraction with a relatively heavy weight. But man, this one I kind of keep it straight sets, anywhere between 8 to 15 reps, because if I go too heavy, I really can't pull back as much. All right, let's see what we're working with.
Like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links.
So I'm currently not taking any passengers on this flight, but I will be sure to let you guys know first when you guys can start booking your flights. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new, of course, and I'll catch you all for tomorrow, day 9. I hope so. Peace, baby.